I'll be honest, the app doesn't matter, the business doesn't matter, your vertical doesn't matter. Facebook is software. Like Excel doesn't care what your business is. Netflix doesn't care who you are. Grand Theft Auto works the same for everybody. Software is agnostic to people. So if you want to make money, it's really simple. You acquire attention, you monetize that attention, you turn that into future cash flow, and then you invest some of that future cash flow in the acquisition of more attention. That's business. If you don't have future cash flow, fix your business, because otherwise you're a salesperson for some factory in China or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, and by the way, I'll say like the quick shitty thing about what we're doing is like if you compare it to e-commerce, we're low AOV. Like
Oh, that's fine.
it's a subscription-based business.
Love it.
We're split testing different prices, but it ranges from $10 a month. And right now the price that has converted best for us on the bottom funnel is $10 a month, $30 a year. So huge discount for the annual, but we split tested all the way up from $30 to $80, and the conversions are still good at $80, but it's just the best, the most revenue per user, which that's what we're optimizing for, was the $30 a month. So we're doing that now, but we can still experiment with higher prices and stuff. So
yeah, love what you're doing. I really appreciate that you got a custom conversion event on the subscription. I want to challenge you one step further. Each one of those price points is a different custom conversion event. So you have a column per price point, okay? And this is the same thing if anybody's running e-commerce to upsells, or anybody's doing lead gen, where you've got some that are shit leads, some are the good, and some are like, stop everything, call this person right away. Transfer that information back to Facebook custom events. Make sure you can understand the quality of the attention that you are buying based on the value of it. When you're doing that, I would absolutely set up a custom column, also in a custom metric inside of your dashboard, something called GPT. This is also relevant for app installs, lead gen, e-commerce. Again, it doesn't really matter. Everything's the same. GPT is revenue. Sorry, it's AOV minus CPA. So you can understand the value of the dollars that you spend, and that you can understand the profitability of each dollar that's spent, because ROAS is nonsense and attribution doesn't matter. What you can understand is the value of the money that you're spending, because you're saying your money on the $30 person is great. I say what that's telling me is that a $60 offer converts at least 50% worse, because if it doesn't, then 30 is a bad choice. Outside of all of that, I like where you're taking like the organic content, the stuff that went viral. That's fun. I'm really curious then, based on what you're saying, $250, it sounds like you're doing cold prospecting. So you're kind of just trying to get strangers to buy. Okay. If I'm on a small budget and I don't have a lot of data, and I'm really trying to take a business from 0 to 1, the first thing I'm going to do is what we call broad retargeting. I would actually build a custom audience off of everybody who's been to my site, or, some pixeled event with traffic. I'm also going to do Instagram and Facebook engagers for, say, the last 30 days. And I'm gonna run my ads to that audience until you need to get that audience to be bigger. You shouldn't be trying to advertise to somebody else. Those people are already problem, solution, brand aware, right? And it's not the same kind of retargeting. Sorry, my girl's out here is having a good time. I don't know if you can hear. It's not the same thing as like funnel retargeting. It's not add to carts. It's not view contents. You're not paying a premium for that. In fact, in the modern age of Facebook and meta marketing, when you have Advantage Plus is no longer a type of campaign, but rather a state that campaigns exist in. If you do this style of marketing where you're not focusing on funnel events, but rather levels of intent or awareness, levels of awareness of the brand, you can still have a retargeting effort where you are still in the Advantage Plus mode. And what really matters there is you are prospecting amongst folks, not because of their interest in the business. An add to cart audience, an initiate checkout audience, a registration audience, one of these pixel events, if you're using that as your signal source, you're going to pay a premium to reach that inventory because it's extra cost. So the first thing I'd be doing is, I love what you have with the viral stuff. It's probably really good top of funnel. It's probably really good to get you low CPMs. I would probably get those things and some. Girl, you're killing me. Stop, girl. That is a mic stand, not a toy. Get out of here. Come on. What are you doing? All right, come here. Come here. All right. So, with that being said, this is Charlie. All right, girl, you're gonna sit here. Okay. So first thing is understanding that those funnel events, your classic retargeting audiences that everybody tells you about, those are the most expensive, least scalable efforts, okay? At that point, you're doing inventory marketing, not intent-based creation, not optimized CPM marketing. So the first thing is, I would start that audience. I'd keep it in my same CBO with my other campaign, with my other ad set, with all my good ads. Yes, use CBO. there's no valid argument, I think, to use ABO outside of a few edge use cases. And I sincerely doubt anybody here is in those edge use cases. Anything you can do in an ABO, you can do in a CBO better, and you actually have the ability to have a smart machine instead of a dumb one. But I'd have a CBO campaign. Girl, come here. You're killing me. Come here. All right. There you go. So you have a CBO campaign, one audience with your best ads, and then another ad set that is those same ads running to a broad retargeting. And I'd probably do like a spend minimum on that just to try to make sure that I'm optimizing towards like a certain level of spend or a daily frequency, where I know if I'm spending 250 bucks a day, I might be able to spend 100 or 200 of that on that audience in a way where I'm getting much better performance. And those people are much more apt to want to do something. And more importantly, at that point, then what I'm doing is creative testing within that audience to see who's going to take the higher value annual sales. Like, can I run this purely on the revenue from annual sales? Can I get break even on annual sales and do creative testing to that upsell on the subscription? Then one-offs are all cream, right? The one-offs are the noise that pay the bills. The annual sales are you optimizing to get higher and higher quality stuff, because the machine is also going to understand as you deliver more and more ads and get more and more conversions. The people make the mistake of thinking that the reason you run Facebook ads is to drive traffic to make sales. You are, when you're running ads, trying to attract attention and amplify a business model in the way that it works. And more importantly, the attribution and the data in the machine, Facebook ads or meta ads is a programming language. Okay. So you're teaching the machine how to get better at what you want it to do. And that's a really important nuance, because what we need to understand here when doing that is ultimately that, what we want to understand here when we're doing that is ultimately that you're trying to teach the machine to go after higher quality people. Now, the way you teach the machine to go after higher quality people is you let those you optimize your efforts where the higher quality people represent a larger percentage of the data set. So the more conversions you get that are optimized, or that where you're optimizing out the ads that attract low quality buyers, the more effort you do that, the more likely future transactions and future conversions are going to be of those higher quality people. So for me, I'm going to take what I'm currently running that's working well. I'm going to run it against that audience. That's fine. But I'm immediately going to begin to try to start doing very specific efforts. Girl, you're killing me. I'm immediately going to start doing very specific efforts to optimize towards those higher quality actions. And to be fair, that's probably not going to be video. I'm probably going to be able to do that with statics that are overcoming very specific objections, where I'm going to be able to optimize for very specific business goals. I'm probably going to call out the annual in that static. The reason that we're talking about the difference between static and video is because video inherently sits higher up in the funnel, because it's more appealing. So the frequency, the CPMs on it tend to be lower, and because it's more appealing to less qualified individuals, the frequency is lower, so it reaches more individuals. That's why really good videos tend to get more of the spend and the performance isn't as good, and that's because it's a top of funnel ad. Now, if you want to understand how all of your ads are being used, you can do what we call a 4PI analysis, which is setting up your columns in your Facebook dashboard as spend, frequency, CPM, and cost per app install in this case. But whatever your cost per result is, that is literally like the only 4 metrics you need. I manage millions a week on basically those 4 metrics. Very little other data inside of the machine is anything of value. Like, I don't care about cost per clicks. Definitely don't care about like ROAS. I don't care about CTR and stuff like that. Like, those aren't actionable metrics. So the point of that is, if you launch statics alongside these videos, those statics inherently, because a static image, especially a square one, is eligible for more placements inside the machine. It can be shown in more different type of ad units. And because it's less appealing to complete strangers, it will inherently be delivered to a higher qualified audience more often, meaning it will spend less, it will have a higher frequency, a higher CPM, and a higher efficiency. It will more effectively drive the conversion. So what I'm looking for more than anything, and you could even cheat this a little bit, if you were to start a broad retargeting ad set and use it exclusively to test like 322 style flex ads on static, just to see how you can most effectively get people to take that subscription and optimize that subscription event for the price point. You know, maybe it's 30, maybe it's 50, maybe it's 80, whatever it is. you're going to really be able to run the entire ad account on, can I be profitable on the annual sales? And then any of the MRR devices is just more fuel to the fire. And eventually I'd like to get to the point where I'm optimizing for the high end, and just the reoccurring revenue from my subscriptions is what's funding my ad spend. I think your number one goal with this is three things. One, you want to be able to, if you can, spend as much of, if not all of your budget in that broad retargeting until you functionally need to go beyond that. And to be fair, if you have a 30-day audience, the easiest way of going beyond that is making it a 90-day audience. Like, you can just expand it, because you're still hitting that high quality inventory, like an add to cart, or in this case, like an abandoned, or a registration or something like that. But you're reaching them for a CPM that's exponentially smaller than using a funnel based event. I'd want to optimize to figure out exactly how much of my budget I can spend there before I get depreciating returns, where it becomes equal to me trying to convert strangers. And odds are that's going to be the majority of your $250 budget. If not, you could potentially double or triple it, especially if you're getting sort of the engagement that you're talking about. So with that being said, your organic efforts are already doing the filling of the funnel. The purpose of your ad is to convert those people. The purpose of your ad is not to get people to know you exist. You don't run ads to let people know that you exist. You run ads to amplify the way that your business operates. The rest of your marketing efforts is to fill that funnel. Remember, it's about acquiring attention, monetizing it, turning that into cash flow, and reinvesting it. So if you could spend 100% of your budget only hitting people who are already brand and market aware, you're going to do so exponentially more effectively. And if you're optimizing those choices towards subscription events, you're going to be in a much better place.
Yeah, but can we do that with like, because if the stuff's gone viral on TikTok, we don't have that audience.
I mean, yeah, but if they're going viral on TikTok, you should still, like, are those not also doing any performance on Instagram?
No, not really. Not just
Okay.
not the way we have it yet. Not the way we have it.
So then if that's the case, then I'm going to start throwing some engagement dollars behind some of those things on my Instagram account and starting to optimize for cost per follow. Which is a whole thing I could get into. I got a video on Disruptor Academy, like YouTube channel you can dive into. It's like an hour and a half, the whole strategy. But like, if you're able to capture that attention, and you know those things go well on TikTok, they should do well on Instagram.
Got it.
But the bottom line is, if you can fill your funnel by building an audience, you should be trying to avoid your win should be how much of my conversion ad dollars do not have to be spent in building my funnel. That is a very ineffective way of spending your money. And so you'll see a fair amount of people starting to talk about, like, oh, I'm running these, I'm going to hit my video viewer audience and stuff like that, which is a pretty low quality audience. And I definitely wouldn't go that route. But the point is, can I start to get people where I'm hitting them up because they know who I am? If I can convert those people, that's great. The second thing that I'm really looking for is trying to optimize towards that higher value event. And it might not be setting that as the conversion event of the ad set. But if I've got 4 different ads that are running and 2 of them get zero like of the annual, and 2 of them get 100% of the annual, but the cost per sale is basically the same across the board. The idea of running any of the things that don't like you're going to be able to make business decisions from that, right? And your number one objective is to get the revenue into the business at a level that will allow you to invest more heavily tomorrow, right? Like, what can I do to say yes to increasing my budget? And if you can solve that problem, you're going to be in a much better place. And ultimately, I think the end goal for this that I'd really love for you to be in is making your creative optimization decisions at how effectively you can get somebody to sign up for an annual plan and funding those ads with a percentage of your monthly reoccurring revenue. That's the sweet spot for any business that has a reoccurring revenue model. So for instance, I mentioned before, I have a thing called Disruptor Academy. It's a community on school. I spend 1% of my MRR a day on ad spend. And started it like 100 days ago, and we're at like 267 people at $97 a month. Like, and I probably made 50K in upsells after that. The point of it is, that's a very sustainable flywheel that can continue to grow. And I think that's where you really need to figure things out. And if you have videos that are good at grabbing attention, and you can push those organically, and even just run some engagement stuff to that to see which ones most effectively get you followers on your account, You're then going to inform the machine who wants to see your ads. You're going to inform the machine without using conversion ad dollars, who to show your actual conversion ads to, and you're going to build up a follower base and an audience on your Instagram. That's also going to earn you more and more earned reach, which is going to reduce your overall CPMs and cost for advertising long term. I know that's a lot to try to unpack in like 10. I'm just trying to like hammer it all home so that like I can like get you as much value as possible, and you can watch this in half speed and be like really happy with it. But like, does that at least give you a little bit of a blueprint? I'll say this. The worst idea would be to launch a ton of ads that are not, like launch a bunch of single post IDs against some version of a broad audience and optimize towards the lowest cost per install and hope for the best. I mean, there are worse ideas, but like that's basis. But I think you could do a lot more than that, especially because you're trying to build a brand from zero. And for you, the amount of conversions you're going to get on a daily basis isn't in the hundreds. Your definition of success is like 20, 30, 40, like a day.
Well, we're ready to scale that ad spend.
Sure, but you don't have the budget and the infrastructure. You can't amplify something that doesn't work.
We do have the budget. We're ready to do it, but it's just figuring out the right structure before we go and buy that spending. But yeah, we're also we are new. You know, we're newer. We've only been
So my one big point to this too is the more you spend and the faster you spend, the faster you're going to learn, but the more you're going to burn. And what really matters to me more than anything is you have one job as a marketer here in this situation. Can I spend more money tomorrow? Every question you ask yourself has to answer that question as a yes. And so what you want to do to get to that point is have consistency in your data. What is the simplest architecture I can build to make the fewest amount of moves so that I can say yes more often than no? And like, if I can say yes 3 times a week to raise my budget by 5%, I could double my budget every month. And if you're starting at a couple $100, you could be at 50, 70,000 a day by the end of the year. Like, that's totally doable.
Do you work with consumer apps? I'm just separate aside. I'm just curious.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I have in the past. It's not currently part of my book, but I've definitely done it before. If you want to chat with me more about getting into stuff, absolutely down to have that conversation.
Cool.
But yeah, I'll end with this note. My number one goal for you is to build an audience that you can sell this app to before trying to sell to strangers. I'll be a little rude here, so forgive me, but like, don't try to build your business on getting people to fuck at hello. That's going to be tough. Get people who care and then sell them something.
Yeah.
The other part of this is do it in the simplest way possible with the fewest moving parts.
Yeah.
The more ads you launch, the more difficult it is for you to be able to answer the simple question. This ad, I launched an ad, or the spend that went to each ad changed. What happened to my business? I really want you to avoid the temptation of like launching like 10, 15. Like, there's no reason you should be launching an ad every week. There's no reason you should be launching 20 ads. There's no reason you should have like 10 ads live at any time. If you can't, with high confidence, say, this ad got spent, and as a result, my bank account looks like this, then you actually have no idea what's going on. And if you're running a business by investing a whole bunch of money and having no idea what happens with it, that's a really tough way to be successful.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, like I'll stop now, but I mean, I had a guy help out with the Facebook ads a bit. I've done it before for e-commerce. I got recommended this guy, but I mean, we have a shit ton of ads running right now. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. If you're running a shit ton of ads, and by shit ton, I mean like more than half a dozen, a dozen.
Oh, is there a way to count the total? I mean,
just sort by ad spend and see everything over one, like how many pages. Like, here's the thing. What I want anybody to take away from this more than anything.
There's 30 in here.
Okay. So let me I'm going to give you this number to walk away from here. Okay. Cause also, like, I got a bunch of interviews and stuff. I did one this week with a guy that runs a performance affiliate stuff, and one last week. You can absolutely check out stuff on YouTube and whatever else. And happy to talk with you outside of this. Let me give you some quick math. You cannot control the order in which ads are shown to people. You can't control the way the deck is shuffled, right? You don't have any control over what card comes up next, right? A 12 card deck can be shuffled about 497 million different ways. A 52 card deck, the amount of ways it can be shuffled has 60 commas. If you have 30 ads, it is statistically impossible for you to ever assume enough data to have any idea on the optimal architecture or how those ads are delivering any result in your business. And then you're just chasing attribution. But attribution completely ignores the fact that people generally don't buy on the first impression. They don't sign up because of one ad. No customer journey is days or even weeks long. Customer journeys are a lifetime long. And if you can totally unpack how one person buys, understand that every other person who buys, their life cycle to that choice is completely different. So you have to be able to understand, if I can understand how the deck is going to be shuffled, and if I've got 4 or 5 ads, I'm going to have a really good, if I do a 4 PI analysis across 4 or 5 ads, I'm going to have a really good idea of how that deck's getting shuffled, more or less. Some ads are upper funnel, some ads are lower. I get it. When I launch a new ad, how does that distribution change? And is that positive for my business? It's a binary yes or no question. If it's net positive, it's a good ad. If it's net negative, it's a bad ad. I don't care what the performance says. I don't give a damn about the attribution. If you're not able to answer that question, you actually have no idea what's going on in your ad account. And so my biggest piece of advice is get to that place. And if you've got 30 ads going, I said I'll end on this, and this is like the third one, so I mean it this time. I would sort by ad spend, look at a 4 PI analysis over the last 7 days, sort and break down by day, and understand what ads are doing good and which ones aren't. And the way you can understand that is simple. Which ad is doing its job well? If it's earning a lot of budget, that means it's more of a prospecting ad. That frequency probably should be much lower than the average ad is seeing on a day-by-day basis. The CPM should be lower than my average, and I expect my cost per result to be above average. It's going to be, quote unquote, a bad ad. How many times does Facebook spend all the money on the bad ad? It's because that's the ad filling the funnel. And then you're going to see ads that don't get as much spend, but have a higher frequency and a higher CPM. And it's because a higher frequency says it's retargeting. If your frequency is a 1.5, that means 50% of people are seeing that ad twice in a day. Even if it's a prospecting audience, that ad is retargeting 50% of people every single day. So inherently, the CPM is higher and the spend is lower because there's fewer people. It's inherently lower in the funnel. If it's lower in the funnel, that performance better be better than my average. And so just start to see what members of your team aren't doing good at their job and just start to cut those things out. Like eliminate the noise or something that's just not earning any spend at all and start at the bottom of the list. You're going to be in a much better place. But anyway, I went on a little bit there because hopefully that gets a lot of people a lot of context, but we got a lot more questions. But Xander, I'd love to chat with you after this. If you want to, you can find me on all of the things. It's at CT the Disruptor, or just ask the guy who you set up 30 ads for you. Who's that asshole with the blue hair who everybody hates? You'll get my DMs like that.
I got you. I follow the Twitter. I see.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate it. Right on. It's nice to know who's ignoring the tweets. It's always good.
Thanks.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Rob, let's bring you on up, buddy. How can I help?
Hey, appreciate the super in-depth answer there. I think you're right. Like, I think you hit on a lot of things that were part of my question that kind of outlines how you think about structuring an ad account, like the purpose of media buying, the purpose of creative. I guess what I want to get more understanding of then is, like, it seems like the way that Meta talks about ads being served, especially with kind of like the Andromeda update. I don't know how much of this is just marketing speak on their part, but like in my mind, what they're trying to do is you have this big smart machine that can look at a number of attributes about a potential customer, and based on the type of content they like to consume, what demographics they're in, et cetera, serve them ads that are specific to their needs as a consumer on this consumer journey. I guess I'm just wondering, like, how you view this idea of personalization at scale and creative diversity, which plays a role in that, because Obviously, if you are suggesting, 4 or 5 ads in an account, I think that that's very contrary to that idea. And I love the way that you speak about it, and like what is actually going on behind the scenes is just a little different from, I think, my perception. And I don't really know the ins and outs. So I'd love to hear more about how you think about that idea of personalization and creative diversity, whether it's all just bullshit, and how that plays into the way that you're creating your ad accounts.
I love the question. I really love the push. And also, full disclosure, like I'm one of the people that has helped bring the ad platform to where it is today. I've been part of alphas for like over a decade. Also, Meta does give me money to make content to push some of their marketing ideas. So like, just calling myself out, I got a check to go to the Performance Summit to basically be a presenter, and then also interview a whole bunch of people and basically be the person that tells, when they walk away from the Performance Summit in June, everything that people should be knowing about. I'm the guy that's putting all of that together. So full disclosure on my involvement with stuff, because I want you to understand, if that makes you trust me more or less, you should at least know that data so that we can be upfront. Okay, second part of this. I love the idea of creative diversity. I think it's very important. I think the concept of creative diversity is really important. But I also, on the creative diversity side, want to specify that diversity is a subjective term. People have taken creative, unfortunately, you have a lot of ad agencies that, as far as I've seen it, you have a lot of ad agencies that prove their value by how much work they do, that also lead a lot of conversation. Many of them also run primarily like cost caps and sell creative services. Unfortunately, you have a lot of those folks as quote unquote thought leaders in the space. And so if your business model is predicated on creating ad fatigue to be the last touch in a customer journey, and you sell creative services, you're very much trying to figure out a way of taking every opportunity to push that agenda. And I did a video on Andromeda, and yes, I was paid for it. So just full disclosure again, I want to be very clear on where I'm getting paid and what other things. Like Meta did say, hey, tell people what this looks like. You're going to hear a lot of people say that that means, oh, the machine's even smarter. I can run 10 times as many ads. I'm here to say that what it means is you don't have to. If the machine is that much smarter, it means the ability, the need for you to take that many dumb shots in the dark. You don't need to throw nearly as much spaghetti at the wall if your hit rate and the quality of the data is exponentially more valuable. And I absolutely agree. And I do want to hear one of the things you said, 4 or 5 ads per account is not where I want to go. I run my accounts by 1 campaign per business objective. Each business objective might be different. I've got a business where we've got multiple business objectives. This is a brand I'm working with. I do have a bit of an agency, and we're very small. We only take a few clients at a time. But one of the brands we're working with right now is, we took them on last year. They were doing about 18 to 20. This year, we're going to do about 35. So we doubled them last year. We're going to get close to that this year. They have a business objective for hero product, new customer. They have a business objective for volume of sales. They have a business objective for value of sales. And really it comes down to this. It's not like 5 ads per ad account. It's how many elements do I want in my control, right? So we're going back to the scientific method, right? So once you get beyond 5 or 6 moving parts, it becomes really difficult for you to understand how that deck is getting shuffled. But if I've got like 5 ads in an ad set that's my control element in the scientific method, odds are, if I've got 5 ads in an ad set, the amount of spend, the frequency, the performance of those 5 ads is going to be more or less constant. It's going to be fairly knowable. Andromeda is with all of the NVIDIA super chips and stuff that they've got running, is going to help you get to that level of consistency and stability faster. Now, you have to understand that consistency and stability is not on performance for you. It's on the end user experience because of your ads, right? Because the goal of the platform is not to really give a shit about you as a business. You're a business partner. You are offering them content. you are buying impressions. Your job is to give the end user on the platform a positive experience that also translates to business outcomes. So with that in mind, Andromeda is going to get you that place of stability faster with more certainty of how the machine is going to use your ads. You're going to hit stability in that distribution sooner. Then the other ads you're going to have running are very specifically saying, all right, I've got 5 or 6 ads. I know that I've got a prospecting problem or a retargeting problem. You can then launch a creative test specifically to see, can I solve that problem better than the tool I'm currently using? Let's pretend it's a basketball team. There's 5 guys on the court. My point guard's not really that good. Let me go see if I can find a better point guard that's going to lift everything. That's really the purpose of creative testing, is you're solving problems using a control and then introducing a variable. So all that to be said, creative diversity and the way that it's communicated often by folks who are trying to sell creative services is an excuse to launch 1,000 ads. In reality, it means have ads that appeal to different kinds of people in different placements. Now, if you have 1 or 2 UGC ads that's really top of funnel, and another like maybe demonstrable ad where you're kind of showing how the product works or something like that. And then you've got maybe 2 or 3 static images that overcome objections, like hopefully it's not price. Please don't make a price. A low price is the worst USP you can possibly have. Low people who buy because the price is low are the least brand loyal. It's a very easy way to destroy your business. Like, never offer a discount. Upsell people. Don't discount your business. But you could have some features and benefits overcoming some objections. That means that you've got videos that appeal to a wide variety of different individuals because they're hitting on a couple different points. No one ad only appeals to one kind of person, right? So if you think of every ad as a circle, because every ad is basically has its core audience, and then every time it gets data points, the lookalike audience that ad is building for itself gets larger and larger and larger, because that ad is getting smarter. Learnings happen at the ad level, the ad set level, the campaign level. It happens everywhere in Facebook. So that ad's getting bigger and bigger. You can think of all of your ads as basically a Venn diagram. The purpose of creative diversity is to say, don't let your Venn diagram be a large circle. Have some overlap, but don't have everything cover the exact same space. So if you have 2 UGC videos and a demonstrable product video, and then a couple of features and benefits or purpose-driven like statics, remember, those videos might appeal to somebody that's just trying to be entertained. They could also appeal to a few different types of customers. And if you have a UGC video, why have one creator when you could have like 4 or 5? And really just kind of bash out so a lot of different types of customers can see themselves in your product. But remember also, like, your ads are being shown to people that have no idea who you are. I used to run all the ads for New Balance, and one of the big takeaways that I learned back in 2016 when I was part of the Get Younger thing of New Balance, that's what they called it internally, but it used to be like a brand for mall walkers, and then they made it cool for like people in their 20s and 30s to buy, and then as soon as they did that, you got, you know, the Allbirds and the Hokas of the world just blew up out of nowhere. The point of that is 2/3 of our ad spend that was a first impression was to somebody who had abandoned cart at Nike, Reebok, Chuck Taylor's, Asics, or Puma. Sorry, Reebok, yeah, or Puma, and maybe it was Adidas in the last 7 days. So their first impression was one of these retargeting ads we're talking about, like your static image that's got the high frequency and the high CPM with the low amount of spend. They might very well be also introducing people to your brand. So if you have 5 different ads, the odds of that being one giant blob as a Venn diagram is very low. But also remember that the power where you're going to get the best result is when there is overlap. So the creative diversity, if you begin to think of every ad creates its own audience, creative diversity is make as wide a net as you can where there's still enough overlap. And that's really the way you got to be thinking about it. So if they're just circles, if they're all overlapping, you're going to crush to this small audience. If none of them overlap at all, you're going to have a lot of points that might crush but never be able to scale. Where you really win is when they're complementary to each other, and there's some overlap and there's some spots where it's not. Now, if you have a business that you're running, You should have campaigns that meet 3 different business objectives. And to be fair, to get to 7 figures, you need to do 1. To get to 8 figures, you only need 2. If you want to go beyond that, you have the luxury of trying to address all 3 of these. But you should be focusing on selling a hero product, which is an item that gets somebody to want to buy from you more than once. If you're selling a product that does not inspire additional transactions beyond the first one, you are a salesperson for a factory in China. And that is a really bad business. Like, it's going to Shark Tank and saying, I've got a great idea. All I need is your money. You're going to get laughed out of the room. I mean, maybe not laughed out of the room. Maybe you will. Who knows? But it's a bad business. So if you have a hero product, the purpose of that is cash flow acquisition. You're now not selling a product. You're focusing on buying the best kind of customer, which is why before we were talking about get the data on the additional transaction. It's not just the app install. It's who's taking the app install and taking the annual plan. Right? Like, that's really important. If I were to show you my ad account, you'd see cost per purchase and then cost per school sign up is a level of a purchase. And it's maybe 50 to 70% of the people who buy, but I also get a bunch of people buying other stuff from disruptorschool.com or whatever, the masterclasses, ebooks, all of that shit, hats or whatever. People really like the hats lately. I don't know why. Anyway, that's complete aside. So you have one campaign that's sole business objective is the acquisition of future cash flow. You can have another campaign whose business objective is the volume of transactions. That brings your blended CPA down. And ultimately, in any business, you're trying to have your CPA be lower than your AOV and OpEx. So the more transactions you get, the lower the margin you need on any one of those transactions to make more money, right? 100% profit margin on $100 is $100. 1% profit margin on $1 million is $10,000. The point is, volume matters. 100% profit margin on $100 is 1% of the amount of money you'd have in your bank account as profit, as 1% profit margin on $1 million. The point to that is higher volume of transactions means you don't need to be as profitable on any one of them. And if you can suppress your overall blended CPA, you have a higher allowable CPA on your hero offer. So that might be something where alongside of your 5 or 6 ads where you're trying to optimize that effort in one campaign, you might have another campaign where you're running catalog. And now you've got extreme creative diversity because you have your carousels, you have statics, you have images, you have statics, you have UGC, you've got product videos. You're really trying to optimize this. You're really hitting a lot of different spots. And then the third type of campaign is profitability, right? Like volume of profit per transaction. And this is what we call like a rebuttal upsell or something. The classic Ginsu knife. You're not interested in this knife for $20, but if I package it up with a bunch of other things and throw in a second one and give it to somebody for free and it's 3 easy payments at $39.99, you're going to just throw your credit card at the screen as fast as possible. So you can overcome the objection of value there. Then you have day one profitability with that third option, volume of transactions that suppresses your blended CPA with the second one, and future cash flow acquisition, which is the first one. Now to grow your business, you just find the right balance based on like seasonality and what your business objectives are. But if you're trying to solve each one of those problems in a simple way, that might easily mean that you've got 15, 20, 25 ads going in your ad account, but there might only be 5 to 8 for any certain specific business objective. So you're accomplishing the creative diversity. You're accomplishing the idea of having volume and not just hammering the same thing home. It's not just 1,000 UGCs that all look and feel the exact same, so only one person's going to buy, and you can only you're super profitable against one small audience, but you'll never be able to scale. You're solving that problem, but you're doing it in aggregate instead of saying every campaign needs to do every job in the business, which is completely unrealistic and not scalable at all. So what I'm here to tell you about Andromeda is that it just allows the machine to do this in a far more powerful way. And what I highly recommend you begin to focus on is what are those business objectives, and can you define it as a conversion event that you could teach the machine to do that? Because also, like, you could up your game and say, actually, I've got a hero offer and I've got the volume, but I also have an effort to just acquire as many new customers as possible. Perhaps that volume of transactions is new customers only. You could have a custom column inside your dashboard that is set up for new customers. And if you don't have that as a column in your dashboard because you don't have that third-party tool, I can recommend you a bunch. My friend Yichi runs this great company. That's the #1 recommendation I have for anybody trying to get good data if you run Shopify, because it's not based on tags. It's based on what you're doing inside of the web page. It's tracking object-oriented programming, which is a whole other nerdy thing. But it basically makes things like Elevar obsolete. And for what it's worth, Northbeam and Triple Whale and all of those solutions are not attribution. They're not teaching the machine what to do. So they don't really have value in that way. They're just fun visual ideas. And with all of those being said, I think Triple Whale's the best out of them. But the point here is that accomplishes those objectives. And having Andromeda and stuff, if you can say this campaign, the optimization event is new customer. Let's say your cash flow device is new customer. Your volume of sales device is anybody who wants to buy. And then your high ticket item, your higher profitability is optimized for that high ticket offer as the conversion event because you're getting enough of them. Well, now you've got 3 different definitions of success. It's not all purchase. And that means a buyer of the low ticket offer that's an MRR device doesn't inform the delivery of the high ticket offer. So success in one place doesn't cost you success someplace else. Now you have very simple machines that are all working in congruency. And you don't need to worry about having 25 ads in one campaign because you're just trying to solve the simple problem of, can I spend more money tomorrow? And you want the simplest answer to that question. And far more often than not, the way you answer that question is by having the appropriate mix between your business objectives. The ad that you run, there's this huge push of like, all I need is better creative, better creative, better creative. The honest truth is the ad isn't the reason you buy something. The delivery of the ad to the right person who's in market is the reason that ad might get attributed for the sale. But the customer journey of the lifetime up to that point, that decision is why somebody bought it. And the way that you get your ad delivered to the right person, what we call inventory, the way you get a higher quality piece of inventory is by having your ad have the most data to understand who to target. Because the ad itself is doing the targeting. You want the low-hanging fruit of that ad to encompass your ideal customer. So that's why also like I don't try to run a bunch of ads with things that go viral because I don't like my wife has a Pilates business in LA. If she goes viral in Montreal and 5 million people watch her stuff 10,000 times, she's going to make $0 because of it. So you're really trying to understand the way these things work together. And often when I see people with 5, 10, 15 different campaigns and 300 ads running, I tell them like, you don't need to launch an ad for another 2-3 months. Just stop wasting money and get better and better at teaching the machine what success is by removing bad choices. You're going to get better and better and better over time. And as long as you're getting good enough to increase your budget, you have solved the problem. And if you've solved the problem, the worst thing you could do is try to create more problems by trying to solve problems you don't have. And when you're launching ads, the purpose of any creative test is to solve a problem. If you can say yes to increasing more budget, you don't have a problem. So if you can raise your budget, don't launch new ads. If you can't raise your budget, figure out where you're too complex to understand what's going on. And oftentimes the easiest way of moving the business forward is just in your proper investment between cash flow, volume, and profitability. That will answer 90% of the problems in almost any ad account. And for the last bit of context here, because I'm a very long-winded answer to a question that I'm hoping is what you asked. My apologies to that. Is remember that the ad, a new ad, is the lowest confidence investment device you have that sits at the very top of the marketing funnel where somebody's going to see multiple ads and then also see things on Google and get stuff from email and your organic social and all of the shopping and ads they're seeing from everybody else. So they might get to your website and then they might buy and then hopefully they buy again. But if you figured out how to get somebody to buy a second time, the worst thing you could do is disrupt that entire flow by trying to attract the attention of somebody completely different. There are very, very, very few brands have run out of their total addressable market. And often when you launch new ads, remember that they launch at the core of that Venn diagram that we talked about. New ads are launched against the highest integrity audience. So when you launch a new ad, it looks really good for a few days and then drops off because it's run up against the highest quality inventory. And then they're saying, okay, well, you won in the backyard. Now go out into the real world and see if you're any good. And odds are you're going to lose way more often than you're going to win. And that new ad that's launched is hollowing out the best audience of all the existing ads that you have. So the more ads you launch, the more ad fatigue you create of the ones that have already solved the problem. So I hope that in a very roundabout way tries to get you some sort of answer of how all of this stuff works. And it's not that you should never creative test. It's not that you should only have 5 ads. but that's how you solve for creative diversity and planning. And you can leverage, thank you. And you can leverage machine learning and Andromeda to your benefit. But you have to be strategic as a business operator instead of a performance marketer. And if the advice from anybody is to make the situation more complicated, it's probably because their definition of success is not getting fired on next week's call with the client. And to be fair, if that's your business objective, you're probably shit and should get fired anyway.
I love it. Thank you. That was super helpful. Already have a lot of good takeaways and definitely looking forward to a rewatch where I'm taking a lot of notes.
Okay, good. I'm very happy and again, like I'm trying to do this as fast as I can. I know we got some more questions here. Soft plug. I have my stuff on school. I've got multiple YouTube channels. Some are super deep dive courses. Some are much shorter pieces. Not here to try to take stuff away, but just I'm trying to very, very surface level, just establish the foundation. I mean, all of this is basically the orientation manual to school. And I'd love to get you to like year 2. But we are, unfortunately, with a lot of these questions, just establishing the foundation of what you should be thinking about. But the beautiful thing of that is if you're already somewhat successful and you're doing all of these things wrong, your upside is insane. So keep at it. That's my best piece of advice to you. Yeah, cool. I guess we're up for Eshrak. Let's come on up, Dime. Good to see you.
CD.
Hey,
Hello.
buddy. All the way
Can you
from
hear me?
Bangladesh. It's nice to have you here.
Yes. Thank you so much, CD. And yeah, I'll just ask my question, I guess.
Yeah,
And don't want to waste your time or the people who have more questions. And so basically, my question is related to tracking, CD. I have recently figured out few ways of deep diving on tracking everything in the website. Not everything, but somewhat a lot of things. Yeah. So basically, how much do you prefer browser side tracking versus server side tracking, and why? That's my question one. And if you like server side tracking more, do you prefer any tools like Stape or something else? So if you can answer that, that will be amazing.
Yeah.
And if we're having any account audits today.
Well, we can see if we got some time for that. That would be a lot of fun. I'm definitely down for that. Okay.
And this is the first time I'm talking to you, CD.
I love it. Yeah,
Bonjour.
I recognize you from the YouTube lives and from the Academy and from all sorts
Yeah,
of
yeah.
things. But hey, I appreciate it. Outside of the DMs on Instagram, it's crazy to me that like I'm just some guy that throws things on the internet and I get people from around the world. I love it. Okay, do I prefer browser or server? Both. More data is not a bad thing. Let me give the machine as much high quality data as possible for it to make more informed decisions. I can't think of any reason why I would want my employee to be less qualified. And for server side, my number one recommendation, if you're on Shopify, is Aimers. And I've got, if anybody wants to hit me up, I've got relationship with Yichi. If I send you, if I give you a link and you sign up with that, odds are she'll hop on the call and install it with you. The reason I really like Aimers versus like an Elevar or a Stape, something like that, most server side conversions API solutions follow the same path. They install a pixel on your site with a tag manager. So when your page loads, it's tracking, oh, this page loaded. And when you hit different buttons and different things happen, other pages load. And based on the tags loading and them having an idea of who you are and passing back email addresses and personal identification information, you're able to track individuals through. That's how all tracking basically happens, right? That's Google Tag Manager. The problem is Google Tag Manager is really bulky. It breaks all the time and adds a lot of load time to your site. One of the most powerful things you can do in any business is reduce your load time. Like if your page load speed is over like 2.5 seconds, you're probably paying a CPM that's 30 to 50% more than you should. Because the platform, Facebook in this case, or Instagram or Meta or whatever, is seeing that people who click on your site have to wait like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds for the site to load. If you have to wait 5 seconds for the site to load, I don't care how good your ad is, I'm bouncing. So the machine sees it as, oh, Anybody who clicks on this ad has a really bad experience. They click on the ad and they bounce. The bounce rate of this ad is astronomically high. So in their business model of the retention of attention for profit, where their entire business is built on, can we give people a positive user experience? If your ad is making 90% of people bounce, well, your ad is a liability to their bottom line. If your entire business is built on being a liability to your business partner, you're not going to be very successful in business. So Google Tag Manager is unfortunately standard and has been what we've needed to do. Now, when it comes to aimers, girl, don't play with that because you're going to knock a bunch of things over. Come here. Come here. She's like, I know. Okay, here we go. Amers, on the other hand, does something that nobody else has done. And I beat her up for a while. I was like, okay, whatever. Let me see. And for what it's worth, Yichi, the founder of Amers, is a Facebook engineer. She built Instagram stories and the entire Reddit ad platform. So she kind of knows her shit. What she does instead is it's a Shopify app that's tracking all of the actions that you take inside of Shopify. If your website is on Shopify, every button that somebody clicks is an action that they take within the Shopify software. So it's a software side solution of the where your site is built, which means it tracks 100% of actions. And if Shopify with any provider has any information on this person, you get 100% matches on like 80, 90% of your traffic, which is incredible. If you don't have access, if you're not on Shopify, she does have some solutions. Also, by the way, it also bolts in Shopify. Facebook ads is a click. Klaviyo is a click. The install on it is literally like you download the app, you install it, and then you hit a button. And then immediately you can cut like 1 or 2 seconds of your page load time and have much better tracking. So it's like, she just built a much better mousetrap that like legitimately impressed me to the point where I was like, all right, I'm going to tell people about what you're doing. Cause like I have no skin in the game, but that's smart. Well done. And so those are the things that I'm really focused on. Because those are the things that I think more than anything really move the needle. Cause remember that attribution in Facebook is not about credit. A lot of people take a look at attribution and say, oh, this ad got me a sale for X. That's bullshit. Attribution inside of Facebook is about teaching the machine what success looks like. Attribution is you telling the machine what more to do, not it telling you what gets credit, right? If you're looking at attribution to understand performance, it's basically like the person, when you turn in a college paper that's like a group project and somebody signs their name on it before you put it on the teacher's desk. They're not the reason that you got an A. Like, they're just along for the ride. Unfortunately, most ads look like that. And that's one of the reasons why everybody's like, oh, I'm not going to use view through. And it's because they're so heavily focused on taking credit. But they're not focused on teaching the machine what something looks like. And I love a view through conversion because it means this ad was something that helped an action happen. And if that ad is the reason that Google search looks amazing, how much less efficient can my Facebook ads run because I'm driving up so much more Google search or email conversions? Like, if I can 3x my Google and email revenue, I'll gladly be half as bad on my Facebook side because I'm making a ton more money. So anyway, that's hopefully, I'm realizing we have a couple more questions. So I'm trying not to be as detailed with you, buddy, because this is also our third hour together today. I hope that kind of answers your question. Does that help?
Yeah, CD. Thank you so much. And just one small thing.
Okay.
Amers is for Shopify, but do they have for WordPress by any chance? Have you got any?
I
idea
think
about that?
she does have the ability to bolt stuff on for WordPress. So she does have the ability to bolt.
What did you blend?
Okay, hold on a second. We got something going on here. You mind muting this stuff, Shin? If you don't mind. Okay. So Amers tackles more than just Facebook stuff. So she does have bolt-on options for WooCommerce and stuff like that, but it will allow you to still leverage the Google side and the Klaviyo side on the programming language side of things. So it does work. If that's not working for you, or that's not really an option, or it's price prohibitive, My best recommendation lately has been Popsicle. Noah over there is really smart. They're a really responsive team. They're small. They want your business. And I like small companies that are eager to please because they have the best pricing and they give you the best support. But that's really where I would go. And here's how you know if you need this. Is it important to you to have any data that's not out of the box? Is knowing of your purchases, how many are new customers versus returning? If that's valuable to you, you should invest in one of these solutions. If your match quality on any of your events is below like a 7 or an 8, you should invest in one of these solutions. Just informing the machine better on what success looks like is like communication in any relationship. If you're really pissed off at your partner all the time, but don't tell them or why or what you want, odds are they're never going to get better. They're just going to see you being more and more pissed off. So communication is key. These are the best communication devices. And those are the thresholds where I think like if those things are of value to you, then making the investment to solve that problem will probably pay off in spades.
Thank you, CD. Please carry on with the other questions. It helped me a lot. The 3 hours today will make, I guess, hopefully my clients millions.
I'm happy, man. There you go. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is Zachary still here? He might have left. I'm going through the names.
Bounced. I think he already bounced.
Okay. Oh, well. Vinicius is here. Vinny. But if you don't mind me calling you Vinny, Vinicius is kind of hard for me to say. But Vinicius, let's bring you on up. You got a question? You're here. Let's solve it.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay.
Just a quick question, Charlie. I manage some clients here, and I was wondering, how do you do when you want to do a launch campaign? For example, some webinar campaign or a launch for Mother's Day or Father's Day or Black Friday. Do you do one extra campaign aside from your hero offer campaign? Or do you just insert new DCTs into your existing hero offer campaign?
That's a really good question. As I've been trying to get better at, the answer is it depends. Let me tell you what it depends on and how to know. Let's look at a logic tree. Very simple. I love to try to, if we can get every answer into a binary yes or no, it becomes really easy to do the work. So we have a Mother's Day campaign for our business. All right. Is it the same offer as we're currently running? If the answer is yes, then same campaign, just additional ads, call it a day. If the answer is no, if it's a different offer, and more importantly, if the definition of success is different, if my target KPIs are different, meaning my CPA, my GPT, gross profit, that's the AOV minus CPA, if any of those metrics are different and it has a different business value to me, then I will make it its own campaign. And if it is its own campaign, so we've said if yes, then this, if no, then over here. So if it's the same, yes, just put it in the survive. If the same is no, because it has a different definition of success, okay, new campaign. Now in that campaign, is this an evergreen effort or a short-term like deployment? So if it's a Mother's Day and it's only going to be live for like 2 weeks, do I have the ability to get ads out of the learning phase, hit stability and scale? Odds are probably no. I'm not going to be able to make it through all of that stuff. Okay, that's one good point that I need to know. A second point that I need to know. Do I want to reach the same customers that are in my hero product, or is this designed to reach a different kind of person? Perhaps this is a customer acquisition device, or perhaps this offer is more intended to get existing customers that I have be more interested in buying more stuff. Or am I trying to do a product drop or I'm potentially going to reach a completely net new total addressable market? Those are really important things, because if the overlap of the target audience is 100%, then that's going to inform the way that I'm going to run this campaign differently than if it's not 100%. But let's say I've got a hero offer and I'm going to run some Mother's Day campaign where it's a buy two, get one free and a free $50 gift card on any purchase over $100. Awesome. Good offer, raising the AOV, solid. I appreciate that. Please don't just have a discount as your offer. That is, price conscious buyers are the least brand loyal. If you run a discount, you are paying more money to attract a lower quality person. And maybe you get the sale for cheaper, but you also make less on it. The cost to acquire your gross profit transaction is more expensive, even if the CPA is less. Don't do it. You do not want to buy the attention of somebody who will never buy from you again. That is a wasted opportunity. Make a better offer, right? Buy two, get one free, whatever it is. One of my favorite things to do, sell a $200 gift card for $150. Easy money all day long. Breakage on a gift card is 30%. If you sell it for 25% off, you made 5% on anything you sell. Easy money. I've taken a business from 50K a month to $1 million a week in like a year and a half, doing basically just those two offers. So all that to be said, if it's a short-term launch and the business objective is the same, I'm probably likely to do predictive bidding on a more aggressive model. So that's going to be where I might use a cost cap or an advantage shopping. I'm specifically trying to hit a different style of inventory than my normal lowest cost campaign or auto bid or maximize conversion volume. Right? My hero offer should be in that like no bidding, like it should be maximize conversion volume. Like that's the default setting. So this new effort, if the audience is more or less the same inherently, but the offer is more valuable, I'm willing to do a cost cap or an advantage shopping, a more aggressive business bidding model where I'm likely to produce ad fatigue, and it is not possible to run that in an evergreen fashion. And I know that I'm going to, in a more aggressive way, try to get the sale if somebody's going to spend more money. Then that cost cap or that advantage shopping is likely to show that ad to somebody that's slightly different than the lowest cost effort, but slightly more valuable. But it does so in a way that is not sustainable. But if the campaign's only running for 2 or 3 weeks, fuck it. Like, I don't need it to be sustainable. So that's totally fine. If it's a completely different effort, I might do the same route. If I'm going to run it for a while, say it's 2 or 3 months instead of 2 or 3 weeks, I'm probably not going to do that same version of things. And then the last thing that we have is how many ads would you run in that space? And the honest truth is, the shorter the campaign is running, the less I'm concerned about data integrity, because it's kind of just luck. And the way we'd overcome that is if we can run that against a broad retargeting audience. Like if you launch a Mother's Day campaign, can you launch that against everybody who's been to your site in the last 6 months? Anybody who's engaged with a Facebook or Instagram account in the last year? Is that audience large enough for you to spend your money and just get sales? Because now you're hollowing out your normal marketing effort, but by no means are you completely competing against it, because that audience is only a fraction of what the broad audience would be anyway. And you're probably reaching higher quality inventory where you are doing inventory marketing. These are all really good people. Go show this ad as often as possible to all these good people, and then just turn off the ads that earn a lot of spend and suck at performance. And you'll optimize your way out of the ads that you have until eventually you're just left with a couple ads, performance tanks, you get a ton of ad fatigue, but that's okay because the campaign is over. And so that's really sort of the logic train that I'm going to go down. Those are the decisions that I'm trying to make. I think if I'm launching a new effort, I overwhelmingly would encourage you to find a way to deploy that is not within the existing effort that you have. And if you do not have the budget to get the new campaign out of the learning phase or be able to get consistent results there, then go to a broad retargeting audience. And if you can't afford to do that, then ask yourself, do I need ads to promote this offer? Like if you have a product launch, you don't need an ad for that. The purpose of the ad is not to promote every product you have, not to promote every service you have. The purpose of the ad is to produce enough revenue in the business so that you can spend more money tomorrow. If you do not have the ability to fully support a new marketing effort, then it's a liability to support it when your goal is to just get more revenue in the business. Most things that you do as a business require zero ad spend to be done properly. Until you have the luxury of being able to afford supporting short-term things, you should only be trying to amplify the volume of opportunity to the things that already work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. That is very helpful. Thank you so much, Charley.
I'm glad. Well, there we go. Fantastic. I'm trying to get a little bit more, little less long-winded here, but you know, whatever. We're getting there, right? I want to make sure everybody gets some value. And last we got Mahmood. My man.
Hey,
Uh,
Charlie.
Good to see you. I
Thank
reckon.
you.
I feel like is your last name Bitar?
Yeah, I'm in the MBA program. That's what I
I
got
thought it was you. Yeah,
I
you're in the wait list for the MBA. Are you in the group chat, by the way?
no, yeah, I'm not on the wait list. I'm currently one of the first people. I'm
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
one of the
yeah.
first
That's
who,
right.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. No, you signed. Are you in the group chat yet?
Yeah, I am. That's
Okay,
where I
good,
got this
good.
link, but I
All right.
couldn't wait for our calls. I just have
Fair
kind of a
enough.
question I need to ask
Love
you.
it. Hey, let's ask the question. Absolutely. For everybody here, I do have the cohort thing where I have the Meta MBA. It's a high ticket where like I hold your hand through 12 weeks. You get like 20 hours of my time. I show you literally everything that I do, and then you get lifetime support after that. I just wanted to know, like, hey, do I actually get to talk to the guy who I've never spoken to before, that I haven't had a chance to have my one-on-one time with yet? It launches on June 1st, but we're giving everybody one-on-one time and as much support or whatever they're looking for to make sure that you've dropped good money. Let's help you out. Now, that all being said, I don't think we're supposed to
Thank
meet
you.
until next week. So let me give you some help today. What can I do, buddy?
I appreciate that. Thank you. So I'll try to be quick. I know you guys have been here for a while, but um, so my main problem is like I have over 50 ads running in a single CBO right now, and I want to clean it up, but I'm not getting any averages reporting back on the campaign level because I made the stupid mistake of launching ad sets with different conversion windows, so it doesn't really show me averages anymore on the campaign level. So what I did is I launched an ASC and started taking all my top post IDs into it in an attempt to clone my current CBO without losing engagement because they've been running for a long time and it's profitable. But you know, since my current CBO doesn't show me any averages on the campaign level, I'm hoping to be able to establish the same campaign without breaking anything because it is profitable. So I can, you know, start cleaning up the new ASC maybe. I don't know, does this make any sense or like is there
Oh,
a
it totally
better?
does. I mean, I'm following you at least. Okay. Three things. One, I probably sort by amount spent. Looking at my 4PI and GPT. And I know you don't get averages, but you should get an average on GPT at the campaign level because it's a custom conversion event. You should be able to see that. And in that way, 4PI analysis to a GPT. So spend, frequency, CPM, cost per result, or in this case, cost per purchase, right? Or whatever. And then you have the GPT, which is the AOV minus the CPA. And for those running lead gen and stuff, you're like, well, I don't have an AOV. Yes, you do. Every lead has a value. Just whatever it is, right? If you have a 10% conversion rate on getting somebody to spend $100, well, a lead is worth 10. Boom, there's your value. Throw it into the machine. You can assign a conversion value to any custom metric. Just go ahead and do it. All right. Now lead gen and e-commerce are all the same thing. Okay. Same for the app download, folks. Okay. So that being said, getting back to a more specific solution. I should have I should have a rough idea of what my GPT is at the campaign level. And if I know I could also do a manual version of a cost per purchase. I could have all purchase events divided by ad spend and produce a custom metric that is like net CPA. So you could do that even though the conversion events have different windows. That'll get by that problem, or it should, because custom conversion events do sum up. Because they're all the same data point, because basically it's the data point of the custom conversion event, not the individual items within it. So hopefully that gets you around some of these problems. And then what I'd be focusing on is I'd sort my ads by amount spent, and I would start at the bottom of the list. If things aren't earning spend, I'm okay with turning them off now. And people will say, "Oh, you're turning off losers, X, Y, and Z," like, or turning off winners. Like, it's not a winner right now. And it's doing the opportunity cost of potentially turning off a winner is wildly outweighed by the business liability of continuing to spend on something that makes it impossible for me to make an informed decision. And so if I've got 30 ads I would probably sort that all out. Again, amount spent. Now, maybe one or two things, maybe one of those low spenders has a really good GPT. Okay, like we'll just leave it for now. But at that point, especially in an e-commerce space, I'm going to turn off things where my CPA is above average and my GPT is below average. I'm going to start at the bottom of the list. So let's say my cost per purchase on average is $50. Well, if an ad has spent like 112 and has like one sale or two sales, that GPT better be way better than my average. And odds are it's not. So I'm just okay turning that thing off. Now, maybe my best ads have spent like 10 grand, but it allows us to begin to start knocking things off that list. I probably wouldn't knock off like 20 things at a time. But if you knock off like 2 or 3 items at the bottom of that list and then wait a day or two, let things settle. If the distribution is more or less the same, just start cutting out more and more. And then you'll ultimately be left with like the top 8 to 10 ads. And at that point, that distribution will probably begin to change. Either you're going to get way more even spend, or the things that spend a lot are going to get spending more and more and more. Like it's either going to be way more balanced or way more hyperbolic. And if it's way more hyperbolic, awesome. Get rid of the things that aren't spending a lot that are doing worse than average. And if it become more even, awesome. Well, now you can just, it's apples to apples understanding what's going on. But for me, what I'm focusing on in this situation most directly is just eliminating the moving parts that don't add value. And if I can't tell if they add value, that uncertainty itself is a liability. And if I can remove liabilities, it's ultimately going to put me in a situation where I'm far more likely to have value, and to have more assets in with my investment than liabilities. So ultimately, I'm doing that. And to be fair, I do that at the campaign level. I do that at the ad set level. I'll do that at the ad level. If I'm taking over an account or I'm working with somebody, we had a one-on-one with somebody else that's in the MBA yesterday. And what I had with that person, they had like 14 campaigns going. And what we literally did was just itemize out what's the business objective, what's the target KPI, what's the number, what is the definition of success that I can slap on the back of like a sticky note and call it a day, right? Like if I can't define success as something that fits on this sticky note, then it's too complicated. So we quantified what success was for each of those business objectives. Many of the campaigns had the same business objective or widely mixed business objectives within the campaign. If you have mixed objectives, that's a liability. It's not doing the best job at any one of those objectives. So ultimately, it shouldn't be getting the spend because something else could do better at that job. Spending more where you're doing better is a lot better than spending a bunch of money where you suck, right? Why make a nickel when you can make a dime? That kind of thing. So all that to be said, we immediately started to just say, okay, let's start knocking these things off. And so we turned off like the worst campaign. I think he was spending about 12,000 a day, 10 to 12,000 a day. We turned off the bottom campaign. We were spending like $500. We just took that $500 and added it to the best campaign that he had, because it was the one that could handle the most amount of change, because I think he was spending like $7,000. So adding $500 to a $7,000 campaign is a very small change, right? When the overall level of change in the data set is pretty small. And when, you know how they say like, don't change your budget by more than 20%. If you have 30 ads and you turn off 10 of them, you're changing the budget distribution by 30%. It's the same thing as changing the budget. So we want to make sure that we're making small moves. And the reason you want to make small moves is because the higher the volume of change to the data set that you have, the more uncertainty of the outcome. And really, if I can 3 times a week make a decision that makes my business better, and every week I'm getting better than I was the week before, I'm going to not do anything that makes that clear direction to success more difficult to achieve. And all I need to do is start making better and better choices. So I think with that, guys, like his next 2 weeks are basically just consolidating efforts. And what we really found was he had like 6 or 7 campaigns that were all doing the same thing. So let's just take all the best ads from that, throw it into one new campaign of maximize conversion volume, one broad ad set in there that's our control. And all we need is that thing to be the second worst thing in the account. Because if it's the second worst thing in the account, I can take whatever is the worst thing and I can reinvest in this new effort. Now, the new effort could not handle $500 a day. I think it's adding like out of that 500, like 50 or something like that. But the point is, if your new consolidated effort is just climbing the ladder of like, well, now it's the second or the worst. It's the second or the worst thing in the account. Well, if it's the third worst thing, great. You don't need the two things that are worse than it. So it's starting to gobble up all the stuff. And as a result, it's scaling because it's just a better investment than what's a bad investment. And as you spend more money where it's better for you, it's really, I mean, kind of impossible to not get better. So these are really high confidence, simple ways of optimizing through simplification. And ultimately, the reason you have to go that route is, and getting back to your example of 30 ads, you have no idea if any of your ads are good or bad. You have a pretty good, yeah, you can have some confidence in that the ones that are spending more have a higher contribution to your bottom line. And the ones that are spending basically nothing are just introducing noise. But what really matters is once you get rid of the noise, then maybe the noise is 30% of your spend is on noise and 70% is the things that are good. Well, when you eliminate that noise and that budget gets redistributed, that deck gets shuffled slightly differently, how does that change your control environment? Maybe it has no impact at all and basically everything just goes up, but odds are you're going to have a pretty significant change in the distribution of your resources and the output of your campaign. And so until you can optimize that fully, I'm definitely not launching new ads because we're launching ads to solve problems. If my biggest problem is I don't know what problem I have, then my number one objective is to simplify so I can actually see whatever the hell is going on. And so that's really the way that I'm looking at this stuff. And I'm okay with doing, 1 or 2 a day, maybe 2 or 3 every couple of days. I mean, if you were to do 2 a day for the next 2 weeks, your 30 ads becomes like 16, right? Maybe do 3, whatever it is. If you could, by Friday of next week, go from 30 to 10, odds are by Saturday of next week, you're going to be exponentially more confident and more informed on what problems you actually have. And to be fair, just getting rid of that noise where you're giving people a more positive user experience with the ads you're serving them might be the easiest way of reducing your CPMs and getting access to higher quality inventory because you're just spending less time and money being a liability to your business partner. And often just doing less harm is the easiest way of seeing more success, which is crazy to think that that's like a contrarian view. But when you say it out loud as like a sentence, it's extremely hard to look at that and be like, all I'm going to do is stop wasting money. I'm going to be a better business partner and invest where my return is greater. As a result, I'm going to have better performance. Like that makes sense, right? Like I really struggle to find where there's the hole in that logic. And ultimately, the goal of all of this is to get you to a place where you confidently can understand what problem do I have so I know where to invest in fixing that problem. Because again, the biggest problem you might have is just your noise is causing harm that's pricing you out of good inventory. And that's the only reason you're struggling to scale. And to be fair, if you're still good enough to scale, you could also just inch up the budgets while you're doing this. There's no harm in doing that too. So in a very long-winded way, I'm hoping to try, well, less long-winded than maybe other questions. I'm hoping to try to give you an actionable answer there. Does that help?
Yeah, definitely. There's one more thing that I
Okay.
think the ASC, are you with that? Like, should I just kill the ASC? Because that was just like my effort to get around and it's no longer possible to use existing posts in a manual CBO. I don't know if that's just a glitch on my ad account, but you can only do it in ASC now.
So there's 2 things there. One, I wouldn't change the setup you have just by lopping off some new idea. But I think I'd much rather just, the ASC is probably having some value. Now, if the ASC is the biggest problem you have, then that's the easiest place to just start consolidating your efforts. I think one of the most damaging things that people do is they just try to make broad strokes of just like cutting off limbs, right? They're just like, oh, this move was a bad idea. I'm just going to undo it. But if it's like 30% of your spend, 20%, 50%, that's a massive change to the way the machine is using your stuff. I
No, I
would
just
much
launched it
rather.
yesterday. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
if, I
just
mean, if
like
it's just
very
launched
5%.
yesterday and
Yeah.
it's not significant, and you haven't really done any real budget shifts, then I'd be okay with it. If it was like 10 days old, if the machine has really learned how to use it, I'd be more prone to maybe not doing that. And then
Okay.
on the second side with your post IDs and your manual sales stuff, this is something maybe we can address in the one-on-one because what I've seen most from people is that the way that you do it changes, but I haven't seen it actually not possible for anyone. And I've seen a lot of different ad account setups here. So, like, I mean, I've probably seen 8 different ways the ads manager looks in the last week. So, I'm not saying by any means I've seen them all. There's a lot of tests going on at any given time, and you might very well have a really stupid bug, which sucks. But referencing post IDs is one of the core tenets of how the ads manager is designed to be used. So, I would be very cautious I'd be very suspicious if it's not possible in your ad account. It's probably just that the way that they've tried to solve the problem in your user experience is just very different. I had one guy that I was on the call with earlier this week on a one-on-one that I had. He had bought like a 4-pack of 30-minute one-on-ones with me, and we had to go through it a few times to figure stuff out. But we found that in a lot of the updated versions, you don't see the buttons unless you put your mouse over the text. And as soon as you put your mouse over text, you get like a pencil button. So you're looking for buttons visually, but they're not there until you put your mouse over a thing. And then we were able to add original audiences instead of just the advantage, and able to add custom stuff. And it was dumb. I don't know what designer. I mean, it's a very clean UX, but it's also really fucking impossible to use. Apparently, Eshrak's dealing with the same thing right now. So, like, I can't wait to get into the ad account with you because I'd love to be able to solve this. And if it's not there, I will 100% pass that along. Because it's really stupid. For Facebook to make that not an available, the meta engineers to not make that available, because it is at the core of the way that they run their business. They want you to take really high quality stuff and to show it to as many people as possible. So in that way, the only thing that I could potentially see is that by default, their campaign structure, and this is theoretical, so I'm just working through it. I can't say that I have seen this, but just so you don't have to wait. In the Advantage campaign, you might actually be able to set up the Advantage campaign with like original audiences and not make an Advantage shopping. It might be an Advantage Plus campaign because Advantage Plus is now a state, not a campaign type. But the way your ad account is set up is still letting you set up manual versus non. And so it's giving you this weird UX that ultimately gets you to a place where, yes, you can only do it in the Advantage campaign, but the Advantage campaign is not necessarily an Advantage shopping. But again, like I'm kind of working through the menus in my imagination, so I might be way off. But like, yeah, if we got to go poking around and kicking some tires and causing some trouble, like let's go do it. I'm all about it. But I hope that helps, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. We
Yeah,
have a
no
call on
problem.
Monday, so I'll just leave the rest for that. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. I feel like Conrad here is also one of the people inside the MBA. So I just call out to Conrad if that's you, buddy. I'm excited to talk with you and your wife and get you guys through the MBA. If not, hey, Conrad, there's another guy with Conrad and the letter P that's also doing things. Okay, I'm getting thumbs up. I think that's what it is. Anyway, Shin, we're at like 90 minutes here. You've been very polite in letting me just come in here and just shout at people for like an hour and a half. So I appreciate that, buddy. But like, I think I gotta go change a diaper and get some dinner. And man, as always, it's great to see you. And I'm so glad I got to meet you. I was like, oh shit, that is shit. Like you came. I was like, oh wow, hey, there we go. We get to meet in the real world, which is a beautiful thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you. I mean, people love it. People seem to love being shouted at. and just understanding the basics. So, I mean, I'll just keep on doing, right?
Yeah, let's keep going.
thought process.
I have a
If
lot
it
of fun.
works- If it works, then just let's keep on doing it.
I love it, man. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. And yeah, let's do another one next month, man. These are always really, really fun. And if I can, just for whatever, I've been mentioning this stuff a lot. I just if I can share two things here. This is the academy stuff. We're on school. So here's the about section, just so you guys want to see that. And we also mentioned 2 YouTube channels today. And I just want to show you what those look like. This is okay. This is my primary YouTube channel that most people know, which is full of a lot of stuff. Yep. And then we also have Disruptor Academy has a YouTube channel that is just chock full of, it's nothing but courses. And we do watch parties and fun stuff. And we got a great one coming up on Sunday. But these are all like 1.5 2 hour long pieces. So we reference these today in case anybody's interested. There it is. Not trying to shill, just like want people to know where things are at. And if you ever want to chat with me, you can find me on any socials. But if you're on Twitter, which it seems like most people are these days, this is my Twitter. You don't have to give me a follow. Just DM me with how I'm wrong about everything. And I would love to chat with you. But yeah, there you go. That's just so you can find me if you need me. But yeah, man, thank you so much.
And you know what? Next time you should chill on the middle of the call, like because right now we've got 8 people, so let's just do next time. Just take 2-3 minutes and just chill
Okay.
in the middle. I'm good with that.
Okay, I think my daughter unplugged my nice camera. So we're on my like Amazon B-roll over here. This is the non-HD version. Look at that. Look how much less wrinkles I have. This is okay. Anyway, buddy, I'll see you later. Thank you so much.